Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in our news.
Justice Charles handed down that ruling just after 1:30 today as Gibson and a courtroom packed with PLP supporters looked on.
An organization urging you to do your part to bring criminals to justice.
A major cruise line enters a bid for the Grand Lucayan Resort.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, former Progressive Liberal Party Cabinet Minister Shane Gibson will stand trial this fall. That was a decision handed down by Supreme Court Justice Indra Charles after she dismissed the defense team's motion to have the case thrown out on the grounds of grave misconduct by investigators. Justice Charles said to not have a trial would more likely shake public confidence in the criminal justice system. Jasmine Brown was in court and filed this report.
Justice Charles handed down that ruling just after 1:30 today as Gibson and a courtroom packed with PLP supporters looked on. Among those supporters were former cabinet ministers Jerome Fitzgerald, Michael Halkitis, Keith Bell, and recently acquitted former PLP Senator Frank Smith. Gibson, who is also the former Labour and National Insurance Minister, is accused of receiving $610,000 in kickbacks from contractor Jonathan Ash in order to expedite payments owed to him by the government. The former PLP minister has had several trial dates vacated as the court heard a motion aimed to ending the case without a trial. Anthony McKinney QC and Damian Gomez QC represent Gibson. Last July, Gibson's attorneys filed a motion seeking to have his bribery case thrown out on the grounds of witness coaching, which they argued was a perversion of justice and an abuse of the process. Gibson's lawyers were also seeking a declaration that their client cannot receive a fair trial as guaranteed by Article 20, Section 1 of the Constitution. But in her 49-page ruling, Justice Charles dismissed the constitutional motion and set a new September 23rd trial date. She said, quote, "I refuse to quash this voluntary bill of indictment, which is preferred against the applicant, and to stay the criminal proceedings against him. In my considered opinion, the applicant faces very serious allegations of corruption in public office. He should be tried." She went on to say public confidence in the criminal justice system is more likely to be shaken if the applicant is not tried. Charles also struck out the constitutional motion as an abuse of process. Gibson, a member of the PLP, was initially charged last August with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit extortion, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit bribery, 15 counts of extortion, 16 counts of bribery, and 1 count of misconduct in public office. However, in May, the Office of the Attorney General presented an amended indictment. Only the bribery charges remain. Gibson is currently free on $40,000 bail. He has denied the charges levied against him. Charles set a status hearing for May 1st. Terry Archer and Destiny McKinney represent the prosecution. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Police are investigating the 4th abduction of a child in less than 3 weeks after an 8-year-old boy was taken by a woman on Thursday afternoon. Our news understands that 3 boys were walking to their respective homes in the Cool Acres Haitian village when a woman in a dark-colored vehicle offered them a ride home. When it was time to drop the boys off, the woman reportedly allowed 2 of them to leave but grabbed the other child's hand, keeping him in the vehicle and driving off.
I tell her bring me back home. She said she's bringing me home now, but she did not.
8-year-old Jaquito Sejor and his mother, Rosine Marcidome, were overcome with emotion as they recalled Jaquito's kidnapping ordeal just over 12 hours earlier.
I don't feel good, so somebody take my son. You see, because I don't feel good.
Jaquito says he was terrified when a woman who offered him and 2 of his friends a ride as they walked home from school dropped off his 2 companions but darted off with him still in the car.
She dropped off them, then she gone through the corner and she gone. She passed by Bahamas, then she dropped me by the dump. She told me go sit on the tire. Then she gone. Then I start crying and 2 cars saw me. They stop and they bring me to the station and they tell them my mommy number and I tell them it and they called my mom.
Jaquito says he never saw the woman or spoke to her at any time before the dramatic incident. He says they rode in silence for about 30 minutes before he was dropped off.
I don't know where she's gonna carry me.
Brothers, 10-year-old John Laurent and 5-year-old Jamison Josu were with Chiquito in the vehicle with the woman. John and Chiquito were showed a recent composite sketch issued by police in relation to another abduction a day earlier. Here are their reactions.
Yeah, that's her. That's her. She had her glasses and some around her head.
So you think that she looks like her?
Look, she just, and there she looked dark. In the car, she was like...
Chiquito's abduction is the 4th incident of its kind since February 16th. On that day, 3-year-old Shavar Bain was kidnapped while riding a bicycle in the South Beach area. He was dropped off unharmed at a wash house on Joe Farrington Road several hours later. On March 3rd, an 8-year-old girl was taken from a home off Wilton Street at 2 a.m., reportedly by a man. She was found soon after on Soldier Road. On March 6th, 8-year-old Tyvon DeVoe was allegedly abducted by a woman while playing on a basketball court near his Emmanuel Drive home. Like Chiquito, he was dropped off by the city dump shortly after being taken. After 3-year-old Shavar Bain's disappearance, police released this composite sketch of the woman believed to be responsible. Meanwhile, a sketch was released on Thursday in relation to Tyvon DeVoe's kidnapping. Police say they are investigating each incident separately, but are looking at similarities to determine if they are connected.
You scared?
The mother of 10-year-old John and 5-year-old Jamison, Josanna Josu, says she has strict instructions for her 2 boys from now on.
She say she gonna tell them don't take no eye from nobody and don't eat from nobody.
Are you gonna take rides with strangers in the future?
No, Mom.
Why is that a bad idea?
Because they gonna make kidnap you, bring you somewhere where you don't know, tie you up and stuff.
Well, in the wake of those recent abductions, Crime Stoppers, a local hotline, is calling for anyone who has seen or heard anything to come forward. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Somebody who knows something, somebody must know something, will say something.
Children have been abducted in separate incidents over the past 3 weeks. They were all dropped off not long after. But Crime Stoppers Bahamas chairman Marissa Awai says the situation is troubling where there's now a fear of children playing outside. And while police have only released a sketch of a woman believed to be the culprit, it's still very vague, only showing a woman in a satin cap and aviator sunglasses. This, according to Hawaii, is where the public comes in.
Okay, you can call us or you can download the app. This is the app here called Crack Crime Bahamas, right? In the app, you can text us, and when you text us, it becomes encrypted before you send it out. Or you can call us at 328-8477 or 328-TIPS.
Once you dial Crime Stoppers, the call is answered by a person in Miami or Canada. No private information is asked of you. According to Hawaii, Crime Stoppers has seen an increase in tips and has helped solve a lot of cases.
Overall, about 805 cases we will help resolve. Last year alone, we took over 100 tips, and surprisingly enough, 70% of those tips were tips on homicide, which is very good to see that they are. And the police coordinator confirms that yes, a number of those tips helped pieces that the police were missing to put together.
You don't have to be afraid to call or think that you'll be recognized to say, well, you gave the information. So that is one of the beauty of the Crime Stoppers call in.
So just how much money would you get for providing a tip that brings a criminal to justice? Well, you be the judge.
The maximum award we pay right now is $1,000 we would pay for a credible tip.
No, that's not bad for a credible tip.
No, it's not bad, and it's a good grocery money for a couple of weeks, hopefully.
So if you happen to be on a playground or anywhere and witness crime in progress, just pull out your smartphone and contact Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Reporting for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. With no new information coming from the government on the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort, one major cruise line has announced its intention to enter the bidding process. Giorgio Bain reports.
Royal Caribbean Cruise Line CEO Michael Bayley says that his company is excited about entering a proposal for the Grand Lucayan Resort. According to Bayley, the island is full of potential. Bayley said his company and its partners would be excited for the opportunity to regenerate Grand Bahama as a tourist destination. He revealed that they are currently in talks with the government and will be drafting their final proposal for the resort in the coming days.
We're currently working on a proposal. We're in a period of negotiation. I know there are other bidders as well and with other proposals. So with our partners, we're working on what we think will be a very exciting proposal that will really regenerate Freeport as a destination. and we're quite excited about the opportunity.
Government made the controversial decision to buy the shuttered resort last year for the full asking price of $65 million. Officials said they have received dozens of bids. Bayley said his company will be partnering with Mexican-based company ITM in its bid, and given the opportunity, they plan to make big changes to the resort to enhance the guest experience.
When I toured the property, it obviously needs investment in terms of refurbishment. There are certainly areas that need to be really rebuilt. So there's, first of all of that needs to occur. But I think more importantly, there needs to be more experiential elements added to the actual destination itself. And that's what we're working on in terms of adding experiences that we would build in that property so that people could have more fun and more interaction with their vacation. So that'll come forward in our proposal.
The cruise line CEO said after visiting the resort, he was in awe of the amount of potential. He said there are about 100 new cruise lines coming on board, which means a new desire for new destinations. It is projected that in 2020, Royal Caribbean will bring about 2 million visitors to the Bahamas. Bayley said if they are successful in acquiring the resort, this will be a significant boost in jobs for Grand Bahamians.
We're now investing close to $250 million in Perfect Day Coco Cay. We've already had 5 recruitment fairs in the Bahamas over the last 6 to 9 months. We'll be hiring an incremental 250 Bahamians working with Royal Caribbean. I think on the Freeport project, all said and done, it's probably close to 2,000 employees, and they'll all be Bahamian. And we have other ideas as well that'll come as part of the proposal. So I think it'll be quite exciting in terms of employment in Grand Bahama.
The tourist minister said they hope to sell the resort by the end of the second quarter, but suggested that there would be a delay due to the tremendous amount of interest in purchasing the Grand Lucayan Resort. Reporting for our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
The Police Staff Association is weighing in on those 3 senior officers being placed on leave. The chairman telling our News team today that they have no issue with the decision. Jillian Gray reports.
Police Staff Association Chairman Sergeant Sonny Miller is steering clear of the political racket surrounding the leave of those 3 senior officers. Miller said all 3 men were excellent officers who will be missed.
We were informed. We weren't informed of anything being political. We were informed that those 3 officers had reached the required amount of service, and based on the vacation that they have left, it will take them straight into retirement. Again, those 3 officers, we do not know any political persuasion of them. We know that they're very good, decent, honorable police officers. All of us at some point work with, and I'm sure if they leave the day or tomorrow, we will still call on them for advice because we know the wealth of knowledge that they have.
Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean, Assistant Commissioner of Police Clarence Rackley, and Deputy Commissioner of Police Emric Seymour were all informed to take their accumulated vacation leave with the option to start retirement leave at the end of their leave period. Last May, a police force manpower audit revealed that the force, while deficient at the constable or junior level, was oversaturated at the senior ranks. Asked if this recent move may address that, Miller said this.
It's a matter of opinion. We don't think that those moves had anything to do with the manpower audit. Again, we can only go and stand by what was told to us, is that those 3 officers reached the required time.
We also asked Miller if the PSA is concerned about the process to fill the position of Deputy Commissioner. He said he was not, and asserted it should not take long to find a replacement, as there are very capable men and women ready to fill that post.
As far as appointing someone to be deputy, I'm sure the next man up, or what we consider the senior man, will eventually begin to fill that role. As a matter of fact, if the deputy started to leave today, I'm sure that someone will fill that role in the acting capacity real soon. So for us as an organization, we don't sit down and we don't wait for confirmation. We know our roles, we know our duties, and it's just the next man up. And if the government's find it necessary to jump someone, then they'll make that decision.
Now, it's been speculated that the head of the Anti-Corruption Unit, Assistant Commissioner Paul Roll, is being considered for the Deputy Commissioner. While Miller said he will not speculate on who will fill that role, he said whoever the person is, the PSA is looking forward to working with them. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Still to come on Our News, the AG discusses government's plan to get off a European Commission blacklist, plus find out why students in Snug Corner Acklands are protesting. After this.